some of the things I remember about that happening at the end there is the state police car coming over to take me to Paw Paw to start my stint in prison. So I remember putting my arms behind me. He says, "Get in there." He didn't handcuff me. So I got in there, so I'm in jail. And then word went around real fast who it was that was in jail. And a couple of the guys there were commenting on about different things about me, not good. And so, but they were probably, we don't know what happened with them or why they didn't like me. So then I went, after I was in jail about 3 days, they took me to Jackson, to the regular, everybody goes in the walls. And so as I go in the walls, boy, that was a bad day at Black Rock. They had those 4 tiers of cells up there, and I'm looking at that. And I was thinking about the good old days when things were nicer. And so they assigned me to a cell. And I was in there for a couple of days now, but you get out to go to lunch, and that's all, and you could take a shower. But anyway, so I was in there about 3 or 4 days, and one of the top guards came by, and he says, "We're going to put you in charge of all the people that does the cleaning around here. We need somebody in charge of it, so with during the daylight hours or the work hours, we will have your cell unlocked so you can go out." So they put me in charge of that because I was already older and I wasn't in there for shooting somebody. So after 60 days there, went through Christmas in there, then they took me to a camp in Waterloo. So it'd be a camp. So immediately when I got to the camp, they made me drive a bus hauling kids from different camps around the state, because that seemed to be the main let go there when they do it. And so they'd take them to other camps in the Upper Peninsula and such. So I drove a bus for a while, and then one day I was in the chow line to get for food, and the camp supervisor came up to me and says, "We got a job. You got a new job coming." He says, "You're going to drive the kids on work pass, and you got to go to Camp Brighton. So it'll be a good job for you, and they'll pay you minimum wage." That's because they had to pay somebody to do it. It was legal only that way to them. So I went to Camp Brighton, and I had a American Motors car, station wagon. I'd take about 6 kids to different jobs. I remember a couple of restaurants had them. They were on the corner of M59 and 23. They had a truck stop there, and 3 or 4 of them worked there, and other places around there that I'd take them. So I'd drive the kids back and forth, and so one day the supervisor says, "You got to help me work on the books." So he took me in his office, and he locked the door, and he said, "I have to do that. I don't want anybody to see you working on a book." So I'd be handing him, he'd say, I'd pull the files out on a prisoner, and he'd be saying word for word how he writes, "This guy should never go home, he's this and that, and this guy should go," and so on. And so finally one day I go in there, and he said, "Pull yours." So I pulled the file out, and he started writing, and he said, "This guy should have never been in prison in the first place. It's a shame that he's here. I recommend immediate dismissal." And so then he said, "We're going to have a special parole, so let you go." So I went to the parole board. There's only 2 guys, and I was the only one there. And so as I walked up to the parole officer, he said to me, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I goofed up." And he says, "We're going to have your rear end out of here so fast you don't know what happened." He says, "You shouldn't be here." He says, "That should have been a civil matter, not a criminal matter." He says, "This was business." He said, "You're out of here." So it took another 10 days to get out of there. So then I come back and went back to work. But it was hard to get a job because I had such a bad, everybody knew that I was there, and they passed the word. So that was the end of the prison thing. But I can't say that they didn't treat me well there in every way. when I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting in their office most of the time listening to the stories. But then I still had to sleep out in the prisoners' areas, and I always covered my face over, because what the prisoners do if they didn't like you, they call, let you on fire, or fire you up, or something like that. So they'd throw lighter fluid on your face and touch a match to it to scar you up good. But I'd cover my face so that I didn't have to worry about that. Because me having the job of hauling them around, I didn't know what would happen. So anyway, when they gave me the special parole, my wife came and picked me up, and long ways back home that day. That's it. That's the end of it, isn't it?